second.
My son Isaac thinks that NASA is a bunch of actors.
Yeah.
You think so too?
Yeah. Well,
don't you think that there would be too many people that would know? I mean,
no, it's all compartmentalized. I can't say it, but you know the word I'm talking about, right?
Right.
So you may have 10 people in this room, and their only job is to write these words down, and they know nothing about where those words are going. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then you got in the next room, you got somebody that's filtering the water, and that's their job. And then they sign these agreements, and they're not allowed to talk to these people down here. And the only reason why we know some of the stuff that we think we know is because of these older men, and they're that were there and done it. Become whistleblowers and tell people.
Well, now, Jason, I have to ask you, man, because I love you. I was just saying, what purpose would it be to fake NASA being real?
Okay, well, we talked about that earlier when Hubbard and Homeboy.
You think it's all the big misconception or the deception?
Yeah, it's all about introducing either an enemy or a savior to mankind at some
really?
point. Yeah. For the listeners, there's so much stuff that I could talk about, but look up something like Project Bluebeam.
Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, and then ask yourself, why does that even exist? And then ask yourself, what could it? What do we know that's been talked about that could be a part of, could make that actually happen?
Okay, so what's Project Bluebeam? Just let us know. I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So it's basically hologram technologies.
Okay. I got you.
And it's getting, you always know when they're about to come out with something because you'll start seeing a lot of it on a smaller scale. And you're seeing this around big cities, they've got on top of corner buildings with the guy from Doom busting out of something, you know what I mean? And it looks real.
Right.
And you can see videos of people walking into an empty auditorium, and then suddenly it's full of dolphins and water and whales and stuff. And it's just unreal. I'll tell you, I got to tell you this real quick. Long time ago, went to Graceland.
Right, I did too.
All right, when you go back to the back where Vernon's office was, they had a TV that replayed the famous interview that Elvis did when he came back from the military, right?
Right.
Okay. On that desk was a hologram of Elvis's head. And it was just, other than it being like a old school TV, greenish, black and white tint to it. But I mean, it was, you could just walk around and look. And that ended up disappearing. That's not there anymore. And my point is I haven't seen anything like that until recently. And getting back to, you'll see more of it. You know what I mean? And this is their way of saying, well, we didn't have this all along. See, this is what they were doing in 2010. And then we show, this came out. Oh, it's getting better and getting better and getting better. They estimate
that's so
that the military is, the black budget part of the military arm, they say anywhere from 40 to 60 years advance to what they let us have, technology-wise. And that's not counting the stuff that,
So do you believe that these the Tic Tac UFOs and all the stuff that these fighter pilots have been reporting, what do you think they are?
Well,
I'm just curious. I mean, I know that's kind of off the subject, but I just want to know.
What is something we've been seeing over the past 10 years that we never heard about before? Now, we always heard about UFOs, right?
Right.
But we never heard about unidentified submerged objects until about 10 years ago.
Right.
And now there's, whether it's real or fake, but, there's video of stuff under the water glowing, lighting the whole sea up. And it's being reported, by military now that, they've seen this at sea and stuff. Right. So, with that being said, I don't think it's like space travel. I think it's an old technology that's been here since the fallen angels came down.
See, I think so too.
Because if you look at all the mythological gods and stuff, there was a god that gave us the plow, and this and that and fire. You know what I mean? So I think they had this technology, and I'm pretty sure that what we're seeing happen today has happened at least once before.
I think maybe even more than that. But that's like I said, we could get on here. We could talk for 4 or 5 hours on here because I know that all of it has to do with the flat Earth thing or theory or whatever. I don't even know what to call it because the flat Earth is, to me, is. I have to look at the moon. I have to look at I have to look at Mars. I have to look up in a telescope, and I see things like you can see the flag, the American flag on the moon. But you don't think we
can't see it?
Now I've seen the American flag on the moon.
No, you haven't.
I've seen it from a telescope.
No, you haven't.
Why you say that?
Well, China was just up there a few years ago, and they couldn't find it.
I've seen it on a telescope. I have. My brother's got a really, really awesome telescope. I've seen the flag on there.
I don't know. I'd have to see it from
now. I didn't get up close and personal of it. I couldn't reach out and touch it, but it definitely looked like a flag that was on the moon. Like it looks like a flag. I mean, did I see the stars and stripes on it? Now I didn't.
If there's a flag on the moon, why can't I walk out? By the way, the moon is out at noon sometimes now.
Right.
I'm a country boy. I spent all of my days outside. Right. I've never noticed the moon coming out in the middle of the evening before. This was probably 8 or 9 years ago when I first started noticing. I looked up and I thought, that is awful strange. But if there's a flag on the moon, why can't I go out there and as nightfall comes in, I can see a star on the other side of the moon through it? So how is it possible for a moon to be on something that I can see through?
You can see through the moon?
Yeah, you can see stars through the moon sometimes. How is it possible for clouds to be behind the moon?
Well, I've never seen clouds behind the moon.
Look it up. Be behind the moon or the sun.
So you think the moon is just an object that's up there like...
I don't know, but I know it's not what they tell us it is. Because I can do a simple observation and know that what they tell us isn't correct. Okay, I'm not going to call you crazy because I believe in Bigfoot, so there you go. Well, so it's speculated that it may be... so I bought a Nikon P900 one time, right? Right. Because I wanted to test some of this stuff out for myself. And I can show you a picture of the moon I took right now. I can get inside the craters with it, right? Right. I looked up Saturn, this, and the other. But all these other stars are dancing. They're not round balls. You know what I mean? They're dancing lights and kind of like morphing in and out of different shapes, okay? So I noticed this with my camera, and I looked some of it up in other people, and it was a big deal. Obviously, it was on like YouTube, and it was amateur versus NASA photos, right? And all the amateurs had what I saw, but all the NASA had. So that being in mind, I got to wondering what kind of light could look like that. So as it turns out, plasma in water looks identical to that. See, now my son says this stuff too. So you think space is water? Yeah, I believe. I mean, that's what I would have to go at if I was asked today. Like I told you earlier, if somebody put a gun to my head and was like, "Tell me the truth," that's what I would have to go with. There was a very famous professor, R. Foster was his name, mm-hmm. And he stated that the moon was plasma. So you don't think we went to the moon? No. And what do you think? Why is the race back to the moon important in the media now? Well, that goes back to the other thing we talked about. They're looking for confirmations, man-made confirmations, that there's something else out there
Well,
to condition us more than the movies have already.
so you think there's billions and billions of freaking stars and billions of freaking galaxies? You don't think?
No, I don't really think. No. When I was in school, I loved the solar system. I did like county and state. What do you call those stuff? The science project, science fair.
Right.
And I did the solar system each time. Even back then, it was already laughed at. People didn't do the solar system. It was overdone. But I loved it.
So you don't think there's a Mars?
Yeah, but I don't think it's what they say it is.
But why? But why would they lie to us? So I mean, to lead
Why
us.
wouldn't they lie to you though?
I don't know if they would have any reason why they.
Well, they try to
lie
convince you
us.
God's not real, but you've already admitted that you pretty much know they're Satanists. Most of these higher up Rockefeller type families and stuff like that, right? So.
But I mean, so
They know God is real, but they tell you he ain't.
But so is Maynard James. He's a Satanist, and he's freaking, you know what I'm saying? But I don't listen to his music anymore because of what he stands for and stuff. But I love Tool.
Okay.
And we all made us feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. I admit that, but it's like, but he's not like trying to lead anybody to the devil, do you think? Or maybe that's something we shouldn't talk about.
Well, no,
I'm just saying.
So there's figureheads.
Right.
And there again, it's to soften the blow up of what they're talking about.
Because my pastor would say,
So you had, Anton LaVey. Now, he was into some dark stuff, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But he was the figurehead. He's the one that made it popular in the late 60s to be a Satanist.
This is the argument I've had with my pastor now. He said one time, this is my old pastor, he's not my pastor now.
The higher up you get in these things, the more they'll tell you.
Because you're in Saving Abel.
Right.
You're in a rock band, a really famous rock band. You're a famous guy. You're a really famous a rock star. So, but you what in a Christian band, and that makes you against God, and that's not true at all.
No.
But now,
And I've battled with that too.
But I'm saying, because obviously by the name there's like there's something to the biblical part of your band. But I'm saying. No, because you're not a Christian band, they go, here's my response. My response was, so I'm a record producer. I record music and help people with their music. Does that make me working for the devil? Because, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, if I was a carpenter, I couldn't just build churches.